So, you guys are ready to assemble your pegboard. That means you have your 3 pegs done, your actual pegboard, your end piece done, and finally you'll want your mallet head and mallet handle. So here's how it all works. First off, I created a new assembly file. Not a part file, but an assembly file. And then what I'm going to do is start placing all my parts in that assembly file. So, it's really important that you save all of your parts in the same folder. So, mine are all saved on my U drive, in my GTT folder, with my pegboard folder. Okay, so let's start off with just the pegboard itself. Go ahead and place that in there. Okay, and there it is. The first thing we need to do to the actual pegboard is ground it. So, if you right-click on it and select the grounded feature, that will keep it from moving. You'll see the little push pin, and that way I know it's grounded. The next thing I'm going to place are my 3 pegs. I have a round peg, a square peg, and a triangle peg. So let's go ahead and place those in there. Okay, and move them out a little bit so I can see all 3. Let's start with the round peg. I click on the constrain tool at the top of the page, and this one is going to actually be a mate, and we are mating the center of the round peg to the center of the round hole. Go ahead and click apply, and that's all you need for the round peg. The triangle peg has 3 sides, so I'm going to mate one side to one side of the triangle hole, and then I'm going to apply it, close that feature, and move it out of the way a little bit. Now I need to choose a different side, so I'm going to click constrain, the mate tool again. This time I'm going to go with this right side of the triangle, and I'm going to have to move the camera a little bit so I can see the right side of the triangle hole. Click apply, and your triangle is in the correct place. I'm going to go ahead and click home view and mate the square peg into the square hole. So, constrain tool, mate, I'm going to choose the top side, and I'm going to put it down in the square hole on the left hand side here. Now this is important. You need to apply the constraint and close the dialog box and move that square peg out of the way. Then I'm going to click on constrain, and I'm going to click on the mate tool. I'm going to constrain the top of it to this back side of the square hole. I have successfully mated 2 sides that are side by side or adjacent to one another of the square peg, and it's moving the way it's supposed to. So now I have all 3 pegs placed into the pegboard just like we want it. Okay? Now I need to put the end pieces on, so I'm going to go place, end, open, and I'm going to have 2 of them, so I'm going to place it 2 times. Then I'm going to right click and click OK. Now let's start with this one. I'm going to change the camera angle a little bit, and what I want to do is constrain. I'm going to mate the outside of my pegboard to the inside of the end, which is down in there. And now they're stuck together. I clicked apply. I'm going to close that, change the view a little bit, move this out there, then I'm going to click constrain again. And what I'm going to do this time is that inside lower lip of the end piece, and if you haven't figured it out already, we're going to mate it to the bottom piece of the pegboard. And there we go. I'm going to click apply. Now, when I close the dialog box, you notice these are constrained to each other, but they can still slide back and forth. So the tool that we haven't used for today's purposes is called flush. So in constrain and under mate, you can select this option over here to the right that is called flush. And what I'm going to do is zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to flush the front side of the pegboard to the front side of the end piece, and it sucks them together so they're nice and smooth, and I'm going to click apply. So now my end piece is stuck into place. Now I need to do the same thing with this end piece. A lot of kids get nervous because this end piece is facing the wrong way. But when you flush it and mate it, it will flip it around so it lines up nicely. So I'm going to click the Constrain tool. I'm going to move my camera so that I can see the parts that I want. And what I want is to mate the left side of the pegboard to this internal side of my other end piece. And that flips it around. I'm going to apply that, go back to my home view, and you can still see the under portion of the end piece. So I'm going to mate that to the bottom of the pegboard just like I did with the other side, and it sucks it on there. Apply that, and if you remember what we did just a couple seconds ago, we will flush the front of this end piece to the front of the pegboard and apply it. So everything is working as needed. 3 pegs move like they're supposed to. The end pieces stay in place like they're supposed to. So let's go ahead and place our previously created mallet head and mallet handle. I'm going to click Open, and here they both are. So this one's really easy. You can see we have our mallet head right here, and we have our handle piece, and we're going to use a constraining tool that we haven't used for today's purposes, and that is an insert tool. So that is the 1, 2, 3, 4th one over. It says Insert, and what we're inserting is this threaded end, you see the arrows show up down there, into the mallet head. You see the arrows show up down inside of the hole that we created earlier. I'm going to click it, and it places it in there. Some kids like to change this offset tool to 0.25. That kind of pushes it out a little bit so you can see the threads. Other kids don't like to see the threads at all, so you can go negative 0.25. That'll suck it all the way in there and you can't see the threads. That's just personal preference. I'm going to go ahead and apply this. I'm going to close it, and everything is in there. It's all ready to go. Check out the next video and I'll show you how to animate the project you just put together.